Today we will start Chapter 7, the nervous system. So, in the nervous system, this is the outline. Cells of the nervous system, structure of the neurons, functions like overview, function, integrates and coordinates. Means the nervous system actually makes us aware of our surrounding. For example, you are listening the lecture, your nervous system is coordinating it. Nervous system is divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system include brain and spinal cord. They are located on the central axis of the body. So that's why they are known as central nervous system. Peripheral nervous system includes all the nervous tissue which is outside of the brain and spinal cord. For example, the cranial nerves, spinal nerves, they are in the peripheral nervous system. Nervous system has two types of cells, neurons and neuroglial cells. Neurons are the nerve cells. They transmit messages. For example, I'm talking, you are listening, the messages are transmitted through neurons. Neuroglial cells, they are the supporting cells. There are 6 kinds of neuroglial cells in our body, and each kind of neuroglial cell has a specific function. They provide support to the neurons, they provide growth factor to the neurons, and they form an insulating sheath around the axon of the neurons. There are 3 categories of neuron: sensory or afferent. A means adding, so bringing the information into the brain and the spinal cord, adding. Motor or efferent, E for exit, information going out through the neurons. Interneuron, inter in between, so interneuron located between sensory and motor neuron. Sensory neuron carry information toward the CNS. Sensory neuron carry information toward the brain and the spinal cord. Motor neuron carry information from the brain and spinal cord to an effector. Effector is either a muscle or a gland. Interneuron, they are located between sensory and motor neuron. They analyze the information. Interneuron decide what to do. After analyzing the information, 99% neurons are interneurons. So we will see a practical application of sensory, motor and interneuron here. Here is a candle and here is a flame. This person is putting the hand too close to the flame. So what happens? Here in the finger, in the skin, we have the sensory receptors. As the finger is close to the flame, sensory receptors detect the information and they send it through the sensory neuron to the brain and the spinal cord. Here is the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron carries that information to interneuron. Interneuron decide what to do. So interneuron decide that the flame is too hot, the person will burn the finger. So the person should remove the finger away from the flame. So interneuron analyze and decide what to do. Interneuron send the information to the motor neuron, and motor neuron is going to the muscle in our finger. So what happens? Muscle is an effector and we remove our finger from the flame. So that is an application how the sensory neuron, interneuron and motor neuron work. Now, structure of neuron. So, structure of a typical neuron. A typical neuron has three parts: dendrites, which are many short branching extensions coming out from the cell body. Axon is a single long extension coming out from the cell body, and cell body is the central region, means on one side dendrites are attached of the cell body and on one side axon is coming out. So let us look at the neuron. See, here is the cell body. It has a nucleus, and see, these are short branched extensions which are considered dendrites. Dendrites actually receive the information and bring it towards the cell body. Here is the axon. Axon carries the information away from the cell body. You see here. Now, you see the axon branches at the terminal end, and those branches are known as axon endings. So an axon conducts the message away from the cell body. Dendrites, they receive the signal and they carry that information towards the cell body. Axon, away, A for away, carries information away from the cell body. They carry the information to another neuron or to an effector. Cell body contains nucleus and it contains other organelles. Nerves. Now, the nerves, we have like cranial nerves, spinal nerves in our body. They are made up of axons, dendrites, or sometimes they include axon and dendrites both. Nerves are covered with tough connective tissue, so connective tissue protect the nerves. Nerves are classified as sensory if they carry the information towards the brain and spinal cord. They are called sensory. Some nerves are motor and some are mixed. Myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is found around most of the axons outside the central nervous system. And some of the axons in the brain and spinal cord have myelin sheath also. So myelin sheath is very important. It provides insulation, electrical insulation to the neurons, and it increases the rate of conduction. It increases the rate at which a message is carried. So in the peripheral nervous system, Schwann cells form the myelin sheath. See here. You see here, this is the myelin sheath, and these are the Schwann cells which are forming the myelin sheath around the axon of the neuron. Here is another Schwann cell. Now you see, these are the gaps which are not covered by myelin sheath. These gaps are known as node of Ranvier. So, you see here, gaps between the Schwann cells are called nodes of Ranvier. Message travels faster as it jumps from one node of Ranvier to the next. So, any message, you see it is jumping from one node of Ranvier to another node of Ranvier. So, it travels faster, and this kind of conduction is known as saltatory conduction. Any question before we go further? Multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis, you have heard, I think, the name of it. A disease in which the myelin sheath in the brain and spinal cord is progressively, means gradually destroyed. So what happens? The myelin sheath, actually, first it gets inflamed and then it starts breaking. So when it starts breaking, the resulting scars interfere with the transmission of the nerve impulses, like the message. Message cannot travel faster. So as it progresses, the person can be bound to the wheelchair as it progresses, and sometimes it affects the vision also. So here is a neuron, see the cell body, dendrite, axon, axon terminal, these are the axon endings. Synapse